Well, hello everyone. Glad you could join us for tonight. And tonight we got three special guests. We got Tony tonight. Thank you, he'll be on in a few minutes. And we also got a clip from Nathan. And also we have another special guest, which I won't reveal yet. Okay. So now we're going to go to a video. That's one of our little older ones. And I'll just say that we mentioned in there the most powerful unit is the Ultimate. With the 1050 nanometer, we have the potential to penetrate a little bit deeper. We now have the Super Pump. So the video tells you a little bit, and I'll let the video roll. PBM stands for Photobiomodulation. Photo being light, bio being biology, and light, well, light coming from some kind of source. In this case, PBM is used to help stimulate healing in the body, whether it's an LED, whether it's a laser, whether it's the sun, but that light comes through the skin layers, and actually the cells are able to absorb that light, converting it to energy, and then there's a host of different processes that are stimulated because of that light. So you can speed up healing, you can do different things that is very beneficial for the cells themselves, for healing, for reduction of inflammation, and a host of other things. Kerber USA is a company that we have set up to promote healing for the US and around the world. We would like to see this technology help a lot of people. We use LED technology where we can provide high amounts of light into the body, and that stimulates healing. I'd like to introduce you to the SunPowerLED Palm Ultimate. This device here has the most power of the series of devices. This light can produce a huge amount of light that can enter into the body and help speed up that healing. In this device, we have two different wavelengths. It's 660 nanometer, and as you can see, it's very bright, but it's very effective. You will cause a systemic effect with this wavelength of light. The other wavelength is 810. It's not very visible, but it penetrates very deep, and that can help as well reach the target that you're trying to reach. The main part about this light is that we have the power behind it and the large surface area that can reach very deep into the body. We believe that our product is the most powerful LED cluster under the sun. We have specification of this device of 150 milliwatts per square centimeter, and that is over this entire area of 40 square centimeters. It also provides a wall of light that comes through the skin and is able to reach depths that have never been able to be done before with other light products on the market. There's an interesting biblical passage in Malachi 4:2 that talks about the healing that comes from the rays of the sun. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to provide healing with these rays. PBM has also been shown in various studies to be able to help promote healing in wounds such as diabetic ulcers, venous ulcers, and other areas where cuts or burns or other types of wounds are on the skin level. If you have any questions about PBM and how our light device, the SunPowerLED Palm series, can help you, please reach out to us and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. All right, so now we're going to have our first guest on, Tony. Tony, you want to turn your video on for us?
Sure thing.
All right. So how you keeping, Tony?
I'm doing all right. Yourself?
Yeah, excellent, excellent. So tell me, Tony, what first of all, how did we end up meeting?
So I work for a company that had me doing a sales run, and your company was on my list, and I came by and had a chat with Janine, and then you called me back for some business, and here we are. And then I tried out some products you had.
Yeah. Now, the first round, were you with the company back? Well, this was quite a ways back. I'm going to guess
That's
about
correct.
10 years ago, probably somewhere around there. Were you with the company then?
No, I was not. No,
Oh,
I've
okay.
been with this company for about 2 years now.
All right. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
you have a fantastic company in
thank you.
Jance, and it's in Ontario. And tell me a little bit more about your company. What do you guys do?
So we develop and we fabricate conveyor belt systems and mechanical structures for a bunch of different industries, but mainly the food handling industry. And yeah, and we provide support and maintenance with our all of our products. And yeah, it's pretty much the gist of it.
Yeah, and they have really neat equipment where they can laser cut, water cut, do any type of metal fabrication as I could see it. And I remember you built me something very special. This is maybe it's even longer than that. Maybe it's even, oh shucks, maybe this might even go back about 14 years ago, but it was a very large gear for a natural gas shutoff. I was doing specialized design for this system that would be used in the gas pipelines in Alberta. So you guys did a beautiful job on that. So
Well, I'm glad.
so you came by. I saw you reminded me, hey, and it was the timing was perfect because I needed this laser cut, these special panels, and you came by. And what happened then? I go ahead.
Yeah, so you called me over for a visit to look at exactly what I would be quoting, and you walked me through the whole process of what you guys did, and you asked me to try out this chair that you had in this room, and
Do you have any
a
back
bunch of
pain or
infrared
any?
lights.
Yeah, do you have
Yeah.
any
First thing
back
is like, yeah, do
pain?
you have any back pain? And And I'm like, actually, yeah. And particularly that day, because I was about, you know, doing my run. And so yeah, I had some definitely an incredible amount of back pain that day. And then you said, try out this thing that we have in this room, this nice little chair, lawn chair, and had a bunch of these lights that were on the back panel.
Yeah,
And I sat in it for about what, 15 minutes.
yeah.
And yeah, and then it was actually pretty remarkable with how quickly the pain dissipated.
Now, have you had this pain come and go for a while, or how did it show up?
I would say it started back in 2016, and there was a little period where um, I had some, like I could barely, I was immobile, and then it would be on and off, and then more recently, within the last 8 months, it's been acting up more and more on and off. So, um, yeah, I've been getting it treated, but it's just remarkable how the pain just went away, and I still haven't had that kind of pain since.
And that was
So,
about 2 weeks ago.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
about
something
two
like
weeks ago.
yeah. And you
Yeah,
used one of our oldest technologies. That's the
that's yeah,
it's like 1600 watts of halogen light or halogen, however people pronounce it. And but we've got a special filtration system that removes all the heat. Otherwise, you'd be out of that chair in about 3 seconds.
yeah.
But it's
I
our
also run
oldest.
pretty hot naturally, so it would have been even worse.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, no, you had been burning hot. You'd been on
Yeah.
fire. But it's really wild how that light can go into the right wavelength. And that was actually with our old chair. That's technology that we developed about 15 years ago. and we made a bed version as well where you could lay on. But now we've updated it to the LED version, and you're making the panels for our large units that have 6 of these guys, 2 in a 2x3 array. And yeah, you sat, it wasn't 15, it was 15 minutes and that was it. And you could see
Sure.
how much of a change, and that's crazy, but we've seen it over and over again. And even though that's old technology, it's still, the big thing is it has enough optical energy to get into the body. And that's why it does what it does. It's not like some of the toys that you can buy on Amazon. This is some real powerful equipment.
It's like
And
the foundation holds its beams. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Then you
exactly.
build from that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to thank you very much, Tony, for coming on. This is
Absolutely.
great. And just for people to see that this is real. Were you skeptical?
No, I'm pretty open-minded, so I'm up
Oh,
for anything.
oh, okay. So some people come at this and say, like, come on, this is going to do
No,
something.
you gotta
No,
be more optimistic.
yeah. Okay. Well, Tony, all the best. Thank you for coming on and sharing your story.
Was that my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. All the best. Bye for now.
You as well.
So next we're going to have Nathan. Now, Nathan happens to be a video clip that I did today. He just couldn't be on tonight, but I think you'll enjoy it quite a bit. And it's another fellow that is in the manufacturing space. He runs a company with a bunch of employees, and he does specialized work, design, like he'll design things, but he also manufacture them with all kinds of specialized lathes and, big automated lathes that spin metal and cut them down to little things. And he made special parts for me. So that worked out really well. And I got to know him. So now we're going to open the video up to Nathan. Go. All right. Hi, Nathan. How you doing?
Excellent. You, Tom?
Good, good. So what is Advantage Machining? What do you guys do over there?
We're a custom machine shop. There's 10 of us, and we take customers' designs and turn them into reality.
And that's what you did for me a few times. You did beautiful, beautiful work over there that I would say was a precursor to the technology we have now. If it wasn't for what you did, I don't know how far we would have got along, but you did machine some crazy harebrained parts that you made for me, and they work well. And that was how I got into this. So once I started working with you, what happened? What was your situation? What was going on in your life?
Well, I had accidentally, improperly lifted some heavy metal objects, and my back was spasming quite a bit. And that was a precursor, or that was an ongoing injury actually for a number of years.
Yeah, and I think you remember when I met you that I was still having the same thing, although it was much shorter. I could, what used to take months to come out of a spasm for me was like much shorter. So like within weeks I was better, and now it's like I still do something sometimes, and when I do, instead of months, it's 2 weeks. I'm really back to full shape. 1 week I'm moving pretty good, and 2 weeks I don't even remember it almost. So, but you were in pretty rough shape.
Certainly, it affected the way that I was able to perform and work, for sure.
So you were in pretty rough shape.
Yeah.
I remember. So I decided to let you try out one of these lights. So at first, I think you thought I was a little crazy, didn't you?
I was a little skeptical, for sure I was, yeah. But I also figured I had nothing to lose.
So I remember you piling the unit in the back. This was one of my old prototypes, and piling it in the back. You couldn't lift it. I lifted it in the back.
I could barely get into it, to be honest. That's how much it hurt at the time.
Into the pickup truck there, and put it in the back, and then you used it a few times, and you had come down there once. You had also come down to use the bed.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I thought you were talking about, was your bed. But
Well,
yeah,
first,
I had a hard time getting into that bed as well.
yeah, and then but that helped a bit, and then you got the light, right? You
Yeah,
borrowed the light from me and used it some time on the back, and that really helped things, didn't it?
yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
do you remember? I know that's quite a while ago. That's got to be like 5-6 years ago, I think.
Yeah,
Maybe
at
less.
least, at least, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was in kind of an unbearable situation in terms of what I was able, my mobility and what I was able to accomplish. And after kind of a couple of sessions in your bed and a week of trying that portable unit a couple times a day, I was back to normal, and
Yeah.
quite pleased with how well my back felt.
And then now, I mean, now I've got it down to this size. That's a whole lot easier and more portable, but that's the size of the new unit. So now you got a chance to experience it. Now you sent one of your employees over, and
Yeah,
he said as well he's improved.
yeah, right. Yeah, I would like to help him out with one of the portable units as well, to be honest. But yeah, he felt better already on Saturday, but he thought he was back. He unfortunately had to come in. I was away for the weekend, but he got roped it back in by one of the other employees that was having a trouble, so he agreed to come in. But yeah, he was excited to come and see you on Friday, get a weekend rest, or get a weekend of rest in, and start again today. And he's obviously feeling a bit better. He saw you again this morning.
Yeah, I saw him, so that was great. Nathan, I want to thank you for coming on board and sharing with people what you've experienced, because it's kind of hard to believe that some crazy light that you hold it somewhere or you lay on it or something, it's going to make any difference, right?
I'm sure I'm not the only skeptical one out there, but it really did make a difference.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Nathan. You have yourself a fantastic day. And anybody who is in listening range of my podcast here, check out Nathan with Advantage Machining. He does some great work. Thank you, Nathan.
Thanks, Tom.
All right. Okay. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Okay. So you got a chance to hear Tony and Nathan's story. Now I want to introduce another testimony. This is actually about, it's about Bentley. Bentley is the dog in this picture that you see here. Bentley is apparently quite famous, and he was helped by the light. And so since he can't speak, I'm going to have his owner speak for him. So we're going to go for this with Peter. Hi, Peter.
Hey, Tom.
How you doing?
Very well, thanks.
So, Peter, tell me a little bit about your situation.
So my situation is that last year, August of last year, my dog Bentley Alexander, who is actually a little bit of a famous bulldog, he's been on TV shows and does commercials and things like that, was diagnosed with cancer. And the location of where the cancer is, there is no treatment for him. So we decided, by just out of coincidence from the Oakville Chamber of Commerce, we discovered Tom, and we decided to give that a try, the red light treatment to see if we can be able to help Bentley with his prolonging his life expectancy. The diagnosis for Bentley was he would only have a few months to live. And it's now been 6 months and still going strong.
It was about 6 months ago you
Correct.
first came to see me, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it was 6 months ago he was diagnosed with cancer.
Okay.
So August of last year.
When
He came in January, just the first day of January.
Oh, all right.
So it's
Okay.
been 2 months of treatment that we've been doing on him. And the prognosis it looks so good. We're actually going to take him back for a CT scan probably in June of this year, just to see if there's any shrinkage of the cancer or if it's just maintaining or
Right.
what's going on in there. But just looking at him, he's actually gone back in time. He's actually going for longer walks. He seems like more of a puppy again, because we're actually using it not just for the cancer treatment, but on his spine, where bulldogs have a lot of issues in their back end of being able to.
So he's not able to walk very well?
Not able to walk very well and run, but now he's standing better, because when he stands, his back end will start dropping down. And just because of the spinal compression. And we notice with the red light treatment that we're doing on him, he's actually standing up a little bit taller, longer, and actually being able to run, go for longer walks, want to go out and play.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Sleds, and so it's been amazing so far. I'm a big fan.
And we made a little modification there. You can see that. Yep.
And this is made for Bentley, so we can get directly into his skin.
So there, out of the probes, the light comes and can go past all his fur.
That's
and
right,
get in
yes.
there. And you've been doing that fairly regularly then?
Every day, 3 times a day.
Okay.
20 minutes a day.
Right.
20 minutes a session.
Okay. All right. And he's going back in time. He's getting younger.
Yes.
That's
we're
cool.
So happy with it.
Well, Peter, I really appreciate you sharing about this. I'm sure other pet owners are probably going to appreciate this too.
Yes.
Okay, all the best. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Okay, so you got a chance to see Bentley's owner, and how the dog has been able to be helped quite a bit by using the light. And that's what we developed. We developed this also special attachment to go onto the device, and then you just put it in place, and then you turn on the light, and then this allows for the hair to go and the fur to go in between the probes and allow you to get right into the skin, as you saw in the picture with it lit up. And we have a version for the 660 nanometer or 810. So that's and that can be applied, or 1050. That can be used with any one of our Palm devices, universal that way. We also have, for those that want to use this for something inside their mouth, there's a special dental attachment, the dental probe that we have. This allows you to put the light right inside the mouth in that area. And it's pretty powerful, as you can see it going right through my my finger there. And yeah, there it is there. And that allows you to direct the light directly on the back molars or the gum line, or inside if you have an abscessed tooth, or canker sores, canker or herpes. Very, very helpful in speeding up the healing in the mouth area. So we have, I'll just go through the units. We have 3 units, 3 main units. We have the professional, and that's the 660 810 nanometer. We have the next version up, which is the ultimate. And the ultimate has the 660 wavelength. And as I showed earlier, you can see it going right through my hand there. I'm just blocking the light from above so you can see it a little easier. We have quite a bit of light coming from this light panel. And then we have the 810 nanometer, which is barely visible, but you can definitely feel the energy coming from it. And the ultimate has 25% more power, which generally helps you to speed up the healing a little bit faster or get a little deeper, and just a bit deeper. And that's what the extra optical power does for you. And people notice the difference. And then we have our top of the line unit, which is the Super Palm, which has, again, the 660 nanometer wavelength. And then you switch it to the 1050. In this case, I can't see anything here. All I see is one red indicator light here. But in the camera, you can actually see the other lights that they kind of show a little bit. but when I'm looking at it, can't see it at all. But that 1050 nanometer has that potential to go a little bit deeper. I did have a person ask me as well who was very concerned about the EMF, and I'm going to see if I can't find a picture here. This unit has very low EMF. That's other frequencies outside of the desired wavelength that you want. So EMF is actually includes light as well because it's electromagnetic frequency. And so, but in this case, light is not harmful to the body unless you get up into the wavelengths that are end up being much, much shorter. So that means with the shorter wavelengths, you can cause some damage to skin, especially if you get into UVC. UVB, a small amount of it, well, that's what makes vitamin D. So you need the wavelength of 297 nanometer, and that you can only get when you're outside. If you are on a sunny day and you were on the inside of a pane of glass, just inside, even with a single layer of glass, you will not get 1 microgram, or in this case, you won't create 1 microgram of vitamin D. You actually have to be outside to get vitamin D production. So very, very important to the body, vitamin D, as it is a hormone. At one time, they used to think, oh, it's just a vitamin. No, it turns out that it's an extremely important hormone that does all sorts of beautiful things, just like melatonin. So anyways, I was just going to show you the picture here that I took the other day. And let's see if you can see this. I'll try and make it big enough. Let's see, is my brightness all the way up? Yes, it is. Okay, it's just, there we go. So I'll try and make that look. So there's the palm light, as you can see. And I'm using one of the meters, a very, very special meter. Now, maybe it'll come through a little bit better. Yeah, it's not too bad. So what's lit is right now it's hard, okay. That is it's because of the brightness from above here. But you can see that it's saying just very, very slight EMF coming from the area. And this is not even inside of a shielded box. So this is in my living room, which would have some EMF even coming outside of the equipment. As a matter of fact, when I turned my unit off, I couldn't even see a change in this level. So it's most likely that what I was reading here that was very, very slight was probably just the ambient room electrical interference. And that's a unit that's measuring, if you can see on the bottom there, oops, it's not very good, 20 megahertz, 200 megahertz to 8 gigahertz is what's just inside the very bottom below my tap the screen. There we go. Okay, thank you for your help. 200 megahertz to 8 gigahertz is what this thing is looking at, safe and sound measurement device. And that's its real purpose, is for measurement of electromagnetic frequencies. And with only a 28 microwatt per square meter, very, very low reading. And when you get up to so the peak was reading 9.8, which is just like short time period, and the average was way down at 0.56 microwatts per square meter. So it's an extremely low reading coming off of our units. We've had that question come to us quite a number of times as to how little is the EMF from your device. That is those devices. Now I'll show you also, this is our helmet, which I discussed earlier. We've had really, really good success with this device. for different kinds of mental issues, in particular concussions, strokes, and it has the two wavelengths. It has the 660 nanometer. And if I put my hand in the middle, I can immediately feel the warmth from the LEDs, the energy from the LEDs at that red wavelength of 660 going into my hand. And you feel a warmth from that energy, just like if you were out in the sun. Now, when you switch it to the 810 nanometer, you can just see the little tiny amounts of light from the LEDs coming. But you definitely, if I put my hand inside there, I definitely can feel the energy from the unit. And we have the most powerful helmet on the planet right now. And so we have a significant amount of optical energy that's coming from the thing. And then I think you got to recalibrate around me. Just 1 second. It just makes it a little annoying. There. Okay. That happens to be our helmet. We also have this in 660 1050 if somebody really wants to see that. Okay. Then we have what we call the mini canopy, and that's the unit that you're seeing up here. And this is able to treat a larger section of the back, and it has back or body area, legs, and that's got over 60 optical watts of power over the whole area. This is the other wavelength. You can see it there. If I tilt it this way, you can see the 810 from that. It feels really, really good as far as the energy. The amount of energy that's coming out of this device is around 100 milliwatts per square centimeter. So that feels just like if you were laying out on the sun, laying out on the beach, and you had the sun's rays coming at you, and you were at noon, you would feel about 100 milliwatts of energy coming at your body. Now, what happens is, in this case, that's the whole broad spectrum from ultraviolet all the way through blue, green, yellow, orange, red, and then you keep going, red, near infrared, and then there's far infrared. Far infrared is any wavelengths, really any wavelengths beyond around 1350 will not penetrate the skin. It'll only warm up the surface of the skin. And that's because the water in our skin, water in our body, absorbs that and converts that energy directly to heat. So if you've heard of, some people have the false notion that if they go into a far infrared sauna, that's going to be that the energy is going to penetrate very, very deeply. As a matter of fact, the energy does not. It ends up in warming the tissue up. There is some benefit to that because you want to be able to help with getting rid of toxins and that. So it's helpful to cause you to sweat, get rid of some of those toxins. So the wavelength does not penetrate beyond 1350. But shorter wavelengths than that, especially in the range from red to near infrared, going up to 1300 nanometer, is all wavelengths that can penetrate in. So when we're talking 1050 nanometer from the Super Palm, that's a little longer wavelength than even 810. And so there has that potential to go a little deeper. So the 660, 810, and 1050 is anywhere from the red to the near infrared. So we have this device as well in the 1050 on special order, just like we have with the helmet, the helmet. So here, just to give you an idea, the area of this device is like 15 of our palm units. So and about 12 times the power coming from this device over this whole area. So that gives you, so it gives you an idea. You can be a lot faster than one of the smaller ones because there's a larger area. Plus, even when we did our research on the an area, if you have a certain area like this and you have a certain power density, if you keep the same power density, that's so much power per square centimeter. As you go larger, it does help end up penetrating even a little bit deeper. So that is possible. Now, I showed you the helmet. I showed you the mini canopy. The large canopy that we have for clinics is one that has 6 of these panels in there side by side with a 2 by 3 foot area. Now, I've had, it's amazing how many people have mentioned to me from the last webinar. And if you've been there at the last webinar, or the webinar before that one, you probably are familiar with this already. But this is my friend Alfred. Okay, I'm very thankful. Alfred lost some teeth. I'll have to glue them back in. But Alfred is actually was a real human being at one time in his life. And I'm very thankful that for science, he decided to give his body up for science. And I was able to get a very, very cool how you see all the teeth alignment, your mandibular joint, and where people have TMJ problems because the muscle that comes through here is extremely strong to pull your jaw in. Look at that beautiful hinge system right here. That is how that works. And that whole jaw is floating. So that's not a permanent hinge. That's all based on muscles. So it's just, there's a space in here. So that allows you to tilt your jaw to grind your food. So even though you can, he's got less teeth because of that special joint, but many people have problems with TMJ and the muscle that comes through here. There's other problems. Well, there's a whole host of problems that can come. And a person might only be able to open their mouth just a very slight amount because of that joint issues. As it turns out, you can take one of the palm lights and turn it on and be able to treat that muscle and that area, that joint, and actually help repair that joint. But people have asked me, well, hey, how is that possible, that helmet? Well, no, how is that helmet going to how is that skull? This is, as I said, a real human skull. And it's pretty neat because you see the sutures across here. Okay. It turns out that these sutures allow your, this guy is obviously, he's been dead for a while, so it doesn't move. But in actual fact, your sutures allow for a slight flex in your skull, and that allows to actually create a slight pumping action that can happen 8-10 times a minute. And that pumping action, by this getting smaller and larger, as it's getting smaller and larger, it's only so very little movement, but that's enough to help with the spinal fluid to move up and down your spine because of that slight give. But one thing people have asked me, well, hey, how is it possible for this to actually light to actually penetrate? And I'm just going to, because the overhead light is pretty bright, I'm going to just turn it off for a minute. Okay. And what I want to show you is I'm going to take the palm light here at 660 nanometer and put it against the skull. There we go. And what you're going to look at it, I'm going to move it down. Okay. Move it up, move it around. As you can see, the light is actually going right through the skull and into the brain. Now, this happens to be the 660 nanometer, but that's incredibly important that light can pass through the skull and end up on the other side of the skull. So you're bathing that area with light, which helps the blood flow to increase. And they know that there's all sorts of toxins that can build up, and that you're running low on, like as you get older, you just don't have as good of blood flow going through the brain area. And this is one way to increase it. So you may be able to avoid some problems. So it's pretty neat. So whether I look at it this way and I turn it on and you see the inside of the skull, or if I'm not doing any smoke and mirrors here, I show it through the other way. There's the palm light, put it on the inside here, and there you see it coming through the helmet on that side. And I'm not going to move it, but just turn the helmet. And what's neat is the light is actually also going right through my hand as well. But the light is actually transmitting along the skull surface. So that's pretty fascinating that can help the scattering of the light to reach all areas of the skull. So you're bathing the whole brain with the 660 nanometer light. And I know I showed it on one of the other videos. I'm not set up for it right now, but it turns out that the 660 nanometer shines through, okay, like you see, and you're seeing it very visibly. But when I go to the 810 nanometer, it's actually there. I just turned it on. You can see the 810 nanometer come through. But in actual fact, the 810, if I put a proper measurement device on the other side, you would see it come through with anywhere from, depending where I'm shining it on the skull, there's different thicknesses. I could have 10 times more light coming through at 810 or 1050 when I choose the other wavelength over 660. So even more gets through. I'll show you one other thing that is possible is if you do treat your sinuses, it's absolutely fascinating to see this how everything is perfect on this. You can see where the optic nerve passes through there, and you can see there how the nasal cavity works. But one thing with this, it's fascinating to see how light can go when you're treating your sinuses, that light can actually go up through into the center of this, into the sinus, right through the sinuses and area, and would still bring light energy into the brain. And you can see right here, this is where your main brainstem goes through, and pretty fascinating to see. I want to thank Alfred for joining us tonight. Thank you, Alfred. You're welcome. Okay. Anyways, it's been a lot of fun having Alfred around here, because I tell you, the stuff you can learn with having a real human skull. So we also have one made by Amazon, and it's got all the teeth. It actually the light doesn't penetrate as well. But again, it shows that whole joint, how neat that joint is for the TMJ. So not a bad representation to learn a little bit about things. So now what I'd like to do is try and answer some of your questions. So let's go for it. Just 1 second, I'm going to have a little drink here. Little dry. Okay, so Susan is asking, would you think of making intranasal device? And yes, we have. One thing though, now I'm going to show it with this. This happens to be for the pets, but a person not using the pet device, but could use the two of the oral devices, which I have done with a special palm that's able to put the light on in both nostrils. As it turns out, some of these probes that you would use for the intranasal is very limited as to how much light actually gets up into the into the upper nasal part area and then up into the brain. I, without measuring it, I would still say you're probably about 50 times to 100 times more powerful by just doing the treatment right on the nose itself and having that light go up through the just because the light spreads out in so many different ways, especially deeper when you're going to the 810 or the 1015 nanometer. Okay. There's another question here. Thank you, Susan, for this question. What would be the best way to stimulate the vagus nerve using a palm device? I cannot answer that question. I don't know. And so we'll do our best at getting back to you. Anybody who wants to send a question to us just send a question to info@SunPowerLED and we'll try and answer that. Okay. For thyroid issues, there's two. There's there's multiple thyroid issues, and there's whether you have an overactive thyroid or an underactive thyroid. It turns out that with overactive thyroids, people can get too much T4 or thyroids, and they'll see that their TSH, which is thyroid stimulating hormone, is basically almost turned right off. It's saying, don't produce anymore. So the TSH goes way down when the T4 goes up. And when you have too much T4 in your body, too much thyroxine, it is a hormone that causes all your cells to rev up at high speed, which also means that you will end up losing weight. You could have heart palpitations. Now, I'm not a doctor. I've just learned some things around the way, and I can't. By the way, I'm not prescribing anything or giving you how to. You should check with your doctor if they don't know anything about PBM. Then I would try and find a doctor that does, but that might be a little thin to try and find that. But anyways, you can check with the doctor if you're ever not sure. But most doctors have no clue what PBM or photobiomodulation is all about. So, but with the thyroid, it's really neat. We've been able to see people with too much thyroxine, with a low TSH. They're all of a sudden their T4 comes down and their TSH goes back to normal. We've had that happen. We've had the reverse happen where somebody is an extremely low T4 and their TSH is very high, meaning that the TSH is calling for, give me more thyroxine for the body. And so it's just screaming, give me more. And in this case, what happens is you will be, because you have an underactive thyroid, you'll be very sluggish, and you'll find that you probably gain weight, and you can also be very depressed. And there's a whole host of things that can go wrong if your T4 levels are not right. So it's something that if you ever have doubt, check with your doctor for your TSH and your T4 levels. Sometimes a person can even have normal levels, and it's normal according to people out there. It's maybe in the standard range, but you might require a little higher or a little lower. Everybody is quite different, a little bit different in that way. So it's a case of finding out what works for you. But we've actually seen people with low thyroids, producing thyroids, that their thyroxine levels come back to normal after using the light device for the wellness treatment on their thyroid, with like 1 minute of the red and maybe 2 minutes of the near infrared on both sides like that, which would catch the thyroid very well. You could do that, but be very careful as you do that to see if you notice a change. When the change occurs, if you are on some kind of some kind of drug, you need to be check your levels and see with your doctor if you need to look at increasing increasing a certain drug or decreasing it, because now it's starting to work more proper. Okay. So anyways, that's a little bit on the thyroid. Next, let's see, next question here. How should I okay, how much is the pet use accessory? I think we're pretty sure we're looking at $200 because of all the optical probes and everything on this. So it works with any of the devices. If you want to, I will have a better handle on it, but that's what we're looking at. So that's how the device goes in. It just lines up with the LEDs, just like this single unit. And that's a way of getting below the fur level and getting more light into the skin. This really comes into an issue when you have a dog that has very thick fur. Obviously, if you have a dog with very thin fur, you're not going to have to worry about that. You won't need that attachment. Okay. Okay. Nina's asking, how should I use? Thank you everyone for your questions, by the way. Nina's asking, how should I use the Ultimate Palm for back pain, psoas spasm? Well, what my suggestion would be is you'd use both the red and the near infrared, but because you're talking a little deeper muscle issues, I would spend on the two wavelengths of the time that you're going to spend. I would spend probably 2/3 to 3/4 of the time with the near infrared, the one that you can't see, as well, because that's going to penetrate much, much deeper than, so if you're treating that area on your back, you're going to put the red light on it first. Red helps get the blood flowing, and then you use the near infrared, which will penetrate much deeper into the area and go deeper into the muscles and that, and you'll be able to see improvement. Now, time-wise, I would say if you're in a lot of pain, you could do this 2-3 times a day without issue on the areas and especially over that whole back area. And I would suggest you spend anywhere from 20 minutes to half an hour on that whole area with about, like I say, only about a quarter to a third of the time with the red, the rest of the time with the deep near infrared. Okay. Okay, let's see. Next question. Susan is mentioning that pumping action is the basis of cranial sacral therapy. Yeah, it's pretty wild stuff. Okay. Okay, so this is from Christian Marquis. Okay, thank you. That's a little clearer for me. Okay, that's fine. We're good. We're good. Okay. So Christian writes, as an infantry veteran, I'm in need for a helmet, the 1050 one, to treat PTSD. Yeah, this is beautiful there's been studies that have done with PTSD, concussions, strokes, all kinds of different issues. But he writes, brain injury, 36 hours in a mini coma due to an armored vehicle accident and repetitive trauma brain injuries under explosions. Oh my gosh. I thank those that serve in our military for our country. That's whether it's Canada or whether it's US. Thank you for putting your life on the line. But I really hope the government comes through. There's some really interesting things that are starting to come. I'm very happy to hear about what could come with RFK. He's opening the door for many alternative types of treatments. That's going to be excellent. And as a matter of fact, I think he mentioned almost everything except for photobiomodulation. He talked about hyperbarics, which has been known for quite some time. He talked about all different kinds of therapies that should be allowed by the doctors. Like they shouldn't be poo-pooing these type of treatments. They are very, very helpful. Anyways, Christian says, but we'll test the Super Palm 1050 before purchasing the helmet. Now, the only thing is with the 1050 nanometer, or sorry, the Palm Light, the helmet's nice because it's treating 10 areas at the same time. So that's a 1 minute of the red and 3 minutes of the near infrared. Basically, you're looking at treating about 10 areas of the brain. So it is going to take you some additional time to treat the brain, but there's hope even with doing it that way. It's just that you're going to have to stick with it. It's going to take time every day to do this. And if you can do it twice a day, fantastic, because I think some have asked me, why would you want to treat twice a day? Well, how many times do you get hungry a day? Just think of your cells as being the ones that you want to keep fed so that they're ready to tackle everything that they're supposed to do, including multiplying, including fixing problems, all those kinds of things. So very important to keep your cells supercharged in that way. And that's what the light does. The light can be absorbed by the mitochondria, and that mitochondria gets the energy it needs, and now it can work on the repair process. It can do all sorts of beautiful, beautiful things. And I think there's like 10 different reactions that are going on. And that's only the ones that they've learned so far. I think there's probably far more, but they're just scratching the surface and understanding that light can actually be absorbed by the mitochondria and do a bunch of different things. So, so make America great again, and also make Canada great again is what we're hoping for. Let's see, another question here. The adapter, now that we've got it this far, this is very new, this new probe feature. So if a person comes through, we're just going to fine tune, make sure that's the funds we need to get for these, and people can order them. But just call our main line for that, okay? Or email us. Okay, and Chris is asking, can the light help with neuropathy? Yes, it can. I just want to mention on our webpage, if you go on the research page, scroll down, you can see, you can go into studies. It's called PBM Research Data, PBM Research Database. There you go. And there's like 7,500 research articles and growing there on that location. Another group put it together. It's really fantastic. And anyways, you could put in there, let's say, neuropathy, and be able to find it. So next question here. I have painful knees. I am getting the Super Palm soon. Thank you, Lauren, and I think you'll find once you use it for one thing, you'll be using it for many, many more. Right now, there's a question about DeMarie, about is there a timer on the equipment? Right now, we don't on the helmet. We do, and there's possibility of extra features on the mini canopy. But as far as the Palm unit, we just have the simple switch. I did not go into fancy electronics. I just felt that I wanted to get this down in price to where everybody could try and get it down in price. So it doesn't have fancy electronic controls. So it does not have a timer on it, but it's pretty easy. Because of the ease of use, it's just a couple minutes of the red, and whatever for the near infrared. If a person's treating their eyes, 1 minute of the red, 1 minute of the near infrared, and definitely keep those eyelids closed so that you get very uniform scattering. So it's just a uniform field of light at the back of the eye. For 1 minute of the red and 1 minute of the near infrared. Okay, we've gone over time. I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight, and love to have you next week. Next week, I hope to be able to have this all running from my hotel room in Florida. I'm going to do the Great Escape. No, actually, I've got 2 conferences I'm going to be at. One is going to be for chiropractors in Orlando, and another conference. So this coming weekend is going to be for chiropractors. The next weekend is going to be a special biohacking event in Miami. And Deanna says, thank you again for an illuminating session. And Susan said, God bless you for as you go to the conferences. Yes, for those that believe in prayer, which I do, please remember me in prayer. I really appreciate it as I do these trips. We hope to be able to connect with people that will be able to expand, and more people can be helped. So thank you again. We will have this recording posted. And another individual, Russ, is asking, do I need anybody to carry my luggage? I gather you're willing to come with me. Thankfully my back has been very good. I'm been using the light, so no problem there. But thank you for your offer. But it will be nice. I'm looking forward to it. So all the best to everyone. May God richly bless you, and you have yourself a great week. And please tell your other friends to join us. We'd love to have them on and learn more about how this light can be helpful to them.